It is the SMT Media Network. Folks, we're talking association here today. If you appreciate a Real Hoops channel, give this video a like and a share and then subscribe so you never miss an upload. We're going to be talking about Memphis Grizzlies here. And the Memphis Grizzlies are a team in the Western Conference that actually is pretty good. Look at their positioning in the current standings, and I think they're fifth in the NBA's Western Conference standings. They've been moving between second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, like throughout the year. They've been a pretty good team. Moving on from their coach, Taylor Jenkins, seems unusual. You're just talking about the timing here. The first thing I thought about was what could have possibly have been said or done in the recent time that would get a coach fired in the middle of a season in which you're a top 5 ranked team and you're really only behind just a handful of the best teams in the league. I think when he was hired 5 or 6 years ago, the calling card for the Grizzlies was going to be their defense. Recently, the defense has been kind of weak, and it's been one of the reasons why the Grizzlies had a multiple game losing streak to a lot of teams that they probably needed to beat in order to position themselves better for the NBA playoffs run as they kind of close out the season. So after being notified by team management that he was being fired and let go, players, according to players, they're saying that they were quote unquote shocked by the decision. Now that's not real life. Players being shocked by a decision doesn't make any sense in this case. If indeed this is about defense, if indeed this is about X's and O's, and this was a basketball decision, well then that would parlay itself. You would be seeing it manifested on the daily. You would see it from game to game. There would be some disgruntled players angry with one another, dissension or rift within the locker room over the performance of the team. Now, when a team isn't good at defense, it's not really about the coach so much. Usually it's commitment by the players on the defensive side of the ball. What ends up happening is most of the teams that are good on defense, they have a culture of defense. It's effort, it's commitment, it's consistency, it's closing out on threes, it's rebounding and finishing possessions, it's taking on the challenge to stop the other team's best scorer, it's talking and communicating on defense, it's all of those things. If the Grizzlies are not doing those things, then yes, that stuff has to be coached. That's the message that has to be driven home during timeouts, in between quarters, at halftime, before and after games. That's coaching. But effort, that has to be something that comes from the players. There maybe isn't a version of the Memphis Grizzlies as the roster is currently constructed, outside of Desmond Bane, outside of, Jaren Jackson Jr. Maybe the Grizzlies just don't have the clientele. Maybe they just don't have the roster construction to actually be a good team defensively. Offensively, we've seen them score a ton of points. But I will say this about this disruptive decision to basically just get rid of your coach in the middle of a playoff berth in the Western Conference. Chances are they don't have a better coach on the assistant coaching staff. Chances are they don't have their head coaching answer to this vacancy all of a sudden. Maybe it was an X's and O's decision. Maybe it was about defense. Maybe it was about player development. But I will tell you guys this. Ja Morant has not ascended. Ja Morant has not gotten better. Ja Morant has not become a better defensive player on any type of metrics or levels. I mean, what's really special about his emergence? We've seen a lot of injuries. He hasn't played all the games this year. I'm not really sure who the Grizzlies are going to be without Taylor Jenkins. At least when you have the same person who's been there, you finish out the season and those kind of things. They're not going to be better just because they let him go. When he got fired, I immediately thought there must have been a personal conduct issue. He must have fell out with team management. What the Grizzlies did by letting him go in the middle of the season like this, I don't want to say that this management team, this organization is dysfunctional, but what version of this makes the Grizzlies better? How are the Grizzlies better by firing Taylor Jenkins disruptively in the middle of the season? What message gets sent to the players? What message gets sent to the fan base? What are they thinking now? I mean, you could have let him go in the offseason. Like I said, you're not going to bring in a coach who's better than him right now. He's been there for like a half a decade. Look, I don't like firing coaches in the middle of the year. Everybody signs up to finish a season. I think it says more about your organization when you do something like this. and what the message it sends to your players. But I will tell you guys this. There's nothing wrong with them moving on from Jenkins if they feel they didn't get the results they wanted. I just don't agree with the timing. And when I look at the X's and the O's and the quote-unquote defensive, or lack thereof, the defensive attention, I don't know if I blame Taylor Jenkins. I think sometimes these NBA players need to be more culpable and accountable for their defensive effort on a night in and night out basis. I've watched the Grizzlies throughout the year. I don't think that defensively they're that good of a team. I think they're fine night in and night out. Like, there's games where they play good defensively because they have a couple of good defensive players. But I think culturally, there are certain players on that team that if they played defense a little bit harder, a little bit more meticulously, a little bit more consistently, I think they could be better ranked on defense. And then maybe Taylor Jenkins probably wouldn't have gotten fired. What do you guys think? Let me know. Drop me some comments on the firing of Taylor Jenkins. Do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? How about the timing? Tell me about that. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys on the next one.